just when they took it now, it took 11 different systems. So I just can't fathom. I mean, I remember when I was working kids, you had a planer. But then at some point, Angel. My last email to them was said after this meeting, and we can get together and talk to the group.
Okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of us to the Monday, May 9th, 2022 meeting, special board meeting for TUD. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Director Bailey,
Here.
Director Boatright,
Here.
Director Kearns,
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Ringen.
Here.
Okay, all 5 directors are present.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, please rise, all those that are in this room, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, again, good morning, everyone. And at this time, we'd like to welcome the members of the public who have taken the time to attend this meeting and provide comments on matters related to district business. Any member of the public may address the board relating to any matter within the board's jurisdiction. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the board cannot act on an item unless it was noticed on the agenda. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. So at this time, is there any person in our audience that would like to address the board? Seeing none, thank you. Corey, is there any member out there in our Zoom public?
Not at the moment, no.
Great. All right, then that will conclude our public forum, and we'll move to the consent calendar. Melissa, would you please read the 4 items?
Okay, item number 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of April 26, 2022. Item number 2, approval of reimbursement claims for director's statement of meetings attended and or travel expenses and claim summary for April 2022. Item number 3, consider adopting a subsequent resolution making findings in support of allowing remote meetings pursuant to AB 361. And item number 4, to reject claim for damages, claim number 22-08, Kimberly Norton, claimant.
Thank you. Is there any director that would like to pull one of these or more of these items on the consent calendar?
Director Rain has his hand up for a comment.
Okay, any other director?
And
I have
then
a few-
Director Murphy just raised her hand also.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's see, Director Ringen, go first, followed by Director Murphy.
I'd like to, excuse me, pull a claim summary.
Okay. Thank you. Any others? Just the claim summary, Ron?
Yes,
Okay, all right, Director Murphy?
I'd like to pull the minutes.
Okay, and the minutes. Okay, and that's it? Any other items for you?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, all right. Well, so why don't we hold off on approving all of this until we have this discussion. So Director Murphy, would you like to start with the minutes?
Yes, and it's just in the, I'd actually just like to ask a question on if this can be noted. Because I had told everybody about the teaching conflict on the Tuesday, I would just like to, and I had asked that that be said in the public meeting. I would like that to be denotated in the minutes so that it's clear that I didn't just I'm not a slacker, just arriving 24 minutes late for the meeting, that I had a conflict and actually got there earlier than I thought I was going to be.
Do you have suggested language?
Yes. Is it reasonable to put parentheses after? So it says Director Murphy arrived at 9:24, and then just in parentheses. I didn't think about this too much. Sorry. I was hoping that someone who writes minutes could tell me the best way to put it in.
Maybe due to delay in work schedule, would that work?
Not due to delay in work schedule. It was I was supposed to teach until 9:30 that day.
Why don't you come up with the words?
Yeah, I'll come up with the words. Let Director Ringen go with his thing. I'll come up with the words and then we'll come back to it if that's all right.
Okay, great. That'll be
Thank
great. Okay, all right. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I have a couple of comments and some questions. On page 1, we have ABC Supply Company, and I just want to give staff a pat on the back. I see that metal roofing was purchased, and that's the way to go for roofing on any of the lift stations or anything. So good job. On page 3, Bank of New York Mellon, there's a check for $8,191, and it says reserve fund. Is that, or I guess, or maybe I'm saying, is that for our reserve fund?
Ron, could you repeat the question?
No.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Steve Sheffield, your finance director. The Bank of New York Mellon, that's an existing loan, and that's just a loan payment. And we have a set aside reserve fund for that loan, and the payment comes out of that. This is not related to any other reserve fund. This is just a twice a year annual debt payment.
Okay, thank you for that. Then I don't know who, if Trevor Cowden was there, he'd be the one to probably answer this, but maybe Don Perkins would be able to. I noticed on page 4, Behe Enterprises, there's a large sum for water testing. And then also on page 5 and 6, we have BSK Associates for another water testing situation. I'm just wondering, has the requirements gone up to where we're spending a lot more now on having to test our treated water, or I don't remember us spending that kind of money in the past. So that's my question.
Eric, do you know if anything's happened, changed?
No, I think it's all stayed the same.
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed with our regulatory requirements, especially not to increase any testing and monitoring. We do use several different labs, primarily Aqua Lab up in Twainhart, which is BD Associates for some of the analysis, and then BSK for a different set of analysis that Twainhart doesn't do. But I think it's usual and customary what you're saying.
Okay, that's good to know. I just thought I didn't remember it being that high and that much, and I was thinking that maybe things had changed. So thank you for that. On page 6, Corollo Engineers. My question is, are we done?
I think Trevor would better be suited to answer this question, but I think we are done, Director Ringen. They issued their final technical memo. There were some revisions. I don't know if this was just kind of the last billing, but I think if it isn't, we're darn near 90, 95, 99% done.
Good. Page 7, Clark Broadcasting. $2,000. What in the world is that for?
Hi, Director Ringen, Abby Parkon. That is for radio ads that we placed last month about the TUCO opportunity.
Okay. I just wonder why we don't use the Union Democrat more.
We also use the Union Democrat, mymotherlode.com, a couple of different locations that we place ads, and depending on the type of advertising that we want to do is what makes us choose one over the other. But those were specifically to get the ads on the radio to get some more information out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a couple more here, but I think I'm going to let it go. I can tell that the staff and crews are really busy. I mean, there's a lot of expenses, a lot of things going on. So I'm pretty sure that most of the rest of my questions would all be around that kind of activity. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Director Ringen, and it's good that you comb over this, you know, and have your questions. That's don't feel pressure. I just have a couple of questions. You know, whether these are answered or not, my vote does not depend on, I'm gonna, you know, approve the claim summary, but I'm just curious about what the Cal Rural Water Expo was. I noticed that there was some reservations made for that. What is that? What is that?
So some of the staff they go and get continuing education credits there.
Okay,
They get to see vendors and new products that they have out and about, you know, with the industry that we're in.
We're a dues paying member for CRWA.
Great. So, okay, so Cal Rural Water Expo, they have it like an exhibit hall, and then some of our folks go there.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would be possible to report out on some of the value on that, because I do believe that training and state of the art is very valuable, and it would be really great to hear from whoever went the value and what they got out of it, or maybe reinforced what they already are learning, which is really important too. If anybody sees that as a value, I would love to know.
So I can
Okay,
tell
thank
you, this was the first one they've had in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Myself and, who all went up several years ago with me? Matt Nolte, we went up a couple of years ago, and I've been to several Cal Rural Water deals. They were okay. But this one up in Tahoe a few years ago was remarkable. I really got to network with other water superintendents, water treatment plant operators. I got to see some vendors. It was really well done up there. So I came back and said, we need to send as many people up there as we can every year to this association.
Well, now I'm just excited, so let's hold that until our director's reports, but that would be
Okay.
super to hear about that, so thank you.
Right.
And then just the last one before we go into Director Murphy's wording, what is the Spice World Conference?
It's an IT conference that Corey has attended in the past.
Okay.
Again, COVID, it all went virtual and that sort of thing, but it's extremely high-level technical computer IT. Corey is the only one who would benefit from it, and is the only one who attends, but that's kind of his big annual training. Anything you got to add, Corey?
No, it's the same thing as what Eric Hall said. It's just where all vendors and technical people come together and talk about what's coming up, what's happening, and just way to communicate with other people.
Well, that's good. I'm glad they called it Spice World, because if they called it sort of like Tech World or something, it may not have been so grabby, but this is good. Okay, good. That's all I just want to know were these two, because they do benefit the ratepayer. So thank you. And I have no further questions. And we'll go back to Director Murphy. If you come up with some good wording.
Yeah, I think just simply putting due to known pre-existing conflict in work schedule.
Did you get that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
due to known pre-existing conflict in work schedule. And then the other thing I'd like to, in the director's reports, it says update on fire fuels reduction. That was actually, I was reporting back from the Prescribed Burn Association.
So you'd like that corrected?
Yes, please.
Okay,
And you can leave update on fire fuels reduction in parentheses, Prescribed Burn Association or dash Prescribed Burn Association or something like that, but
okay, so then we'll approve these with those little minor edits. Okay,
great, thanks.
good. All right, any member of the public wish to comment on our consent calendar before we make a motion? Seeing none, anyone in the Zoom?
Not at the moment, no.
Great, so then I'll bring it back and entertain a motion in a second for approval of the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to accept and pass the consent calendar with the changes noted.
Great, okay, thank you. Second?
I would second that.
Great, thank you, Director Boatwright. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, Melissa, will you please call for the roll?
Okay, Director Balin,
Aye.
Director Boatwright,
Aye.
Director Kearns,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Ringen.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to regular business. Item number 5. Melissa, will you please read the regular business?
Okay, board to consider and possibly approve the transition from at-large to division-based elections by adopting a new division-based map and sequence of future elections.
Thank you.
Jesse, I see you're here to help us present this.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Don. So this agenda item will be the last agenda item dedicated to the transition from at-large elections to division-based elections. Under the Elections Code, in order to perform this transfer or this transition, there needs to be a minimum of 4 public hearings. The last public hearing was held on April 26th. That was the fourth and final one. And at the conclusion of that hearing, the board tentatively approved the map version 4, as well as a sequence of elections for future elections. And that sequence of elections will not impact the current election schedule, because what will happen is that under the sequence of elections, divisions 1 and 4 will still be held in 2022, and Directors Kearns and Directors Ringen and Director Ringen are in divisions 1 and 4. And then divisions 2, 3, and 5 will be held in 2024. And that will be for the balance of the 3 other directors who would regularly be running in 2024. So this doesn't require any changes or movement to accommodate this new division 4th version of the map. The district was unable to formally approve this new district, new division-based system, as well as the sequence at the last meeting, because the Elections Code and the Water Code state it needs to be done by ordinance, not by resolution. And in order for this district to adopt an ordinance, the ordinance needs to be prepared in advance, published, posted at the district office. And because we didn't know, nobody knew what map the board was going to choose or which sequence the board was going to select, we couldn't have that ordinance ready for the April meeting. That ordinance has now been prepared. It was included in your agenda packet. And unless there are questions, that ordinance was drafted consistent with the direction I was provided at the April meeting. And so unless there are questions or concerns, if I got something wrong in that ordinance, now is the time to share your concerns. Otherwise, I recommend approval of the ordinance as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Don, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not.
Okay, I have one question before I open it up to the board. Did that Twanghart 2 blips resolve itself? It was a little bit difficult to say.
It took Tom and I and Fabian about 10 minutes to to incorporate all of their ratepayers into one district.
And you feel that satisfies, Tom?
He was very pleased and thankful for the opportunity.
Great, good, thank you. That's good working relations. So no further questions from me. Any directors have any comments here?
Director Rain did have his hand up there for a moment. I'm not sure if he saw the comment or not.
Well, President Balin pretty much asked the question that I was going to ask. The one thing I might add on is whether or not the map was, besides the TUD part, I mean, Twinehart CSD part, if it was, there was some other little boundary lines that were going to get cleaned up. I'm just wondering if those got taken care of too.
Yes, all of those got cleaned up. They're very, very minor, just straightening of lines, not really moving any population anywhere, just straightening lines, making things look more like it makes more sense. That's all, very minor.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any member of our audience have any comments on this? Okay, thank you. Any member from our Zoom audience?
Not at the moment.
Great, okay. Well, I'd like to thank everybody in this process. So with that, I will entertain a motion and a second, and the recommended motion is written out. Oh, okay. It's right in the front there, Jeff.
I'm down too far now.
Okay. Well, you know what? Actually, I would like to make the motion. I move that the board approve ordinance
922.
which establishes 5 electoral divisions within TUD's boundaries that are consistent with map 4 and which sets the sequence of future district elections.
I'll second that.
Okay, Director Kearns has seconded that. Any further discussion? All right, Melissa, will you please call for the vote?
Okay, Director Balin,
Aye.
Director Boatright,
Aye.
Director Kearns,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Nay.
Director Ringen.
Yes,
Okay, the motion passes 4-1.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, would you please read our last item on regular business, item number 6?
Okay, item number 6, presentation on the acquisition and transfer of Pacific Gas and Electric owned water rights for hydro project and related facilities to the Tuolumne Utilities District and proposed water rate plan.
Okay, thank you, President Balin and directors. So today we want to provide you an update on the district's work to acquire PG&E's own portion of our water system. Today, we're joined by Nancy Phan from Rattalis, who you'll recall we retained her and her team to help us to study the impacts this acquisition would have on our rates. But before she shares the details of her work, I would like an opportunity to share with you what I feel like our opportunities are. Let me give you a little background on who I am. So I've been in this water resource management for over 30 years, all 30 years right here in Tuolumne County. I have learned to love the sector of work, being in the public servant. In this time, I have served many people, including my grandparents, my parents, my brothers, my kids and their cousins, and now my grandkids, and countless others, hundreds of others, people I know within the county. So I know full well what the impacts and the decisions that we make today have on our community. So it's really important. I take this serious, as we all do. And again, I understand how important each and every decision we make around here is to the community. Okay, so I think it was back in 2017, PG&E approached TUD to let us know that they were going to divest themselves of major portions of assets within our water system. Since then, PG&E and TUD have worked closely together to negotiate an agreement by which this is mutually benefit for both TUD customers and PG&E customers. So almost 30 years ago, TUD was formed when they were merged together by the county voted to merge two systems together, the Tuolumne Water System and the Tuolumne Regional Water District. TUD is a special district. Special districts have certain specific rules and requirements they must abide by. Special districts are owned by the people. Special districts are not private agencies who can turn a profit. However, special districts must be responsible and have finances set so we can safely and reliably serve our customers. Almost every sector in Tuolumne County relies on water, and without a secure supply of water, our economy would suffer. The water we rely on comes from a complex system that starts at elevations above 9,000 feet. The South Fork Stanislaus River watershed we rely on is 67 square miles. Parts of this system dates back to 1850s gold rush era. You know, we don't think about how our water gets to us. You know, we go about our daily and hectic lives at times, you know, just trying to manage our family, get our kids to and from school or like dance lessons or what have you. We don't really take the time to think about how our water gets to where we need it, whether we're using it at the home or irrigating our pastures. We just know it's there. But the fact of the matter is we can't really take the water for itself for granted. Currently, TUD in Tuolumne County has no water rights. In fact, all of the precipitation that falls in Tuolumne County belongs to an agency outside of Tuolumne County. We're the only county in California that doesn't have its own water rights. So TUD owns and operates 70 miles of conveyance systems, ditches, flumes, pipes, that divert water to one of 11 water treatment plants. And then it is sent to one or more of 66 treated water storage tanks. And then we also have 320 miles of treated water pipelines. Here's a cool little flow chart that will help me illustrate to you just how this water gets to you. So precipitation in the form of snow or rain falls in the high in the mountains, like I said, above 9,000 feet in elevation. In the springtime, the snow melts and the rivers surge. We impound some of this water behind dams, such as Pinecrest and Lyons. Some of that water is sent to Phoenix Powerhouse, where electricity is made and sent to the grid. After that, water is sent to one of our 11 water treatment plants where it's purified for drinking. Again, we can send it to one or more of 66 storage water tanks where it's there waiting for you to be used at your home, places of business, or what have you. Most water utilities own this entire system. Our system has two owners. As you can see, PG owns the raw water collection and storage portion of our system, while TUD owns the treatment and distribution portion. Specifically, PG&E owns Pinecrest Lake, Lyons Reservoir, the Tuolumne Canal, and a federally regulatory commission FERC hydro license, the Phoenix Powerhouse. Beyond the physical assets that PG&E owns, they also own valuable water rights. Specifically, an 1851 water right, the oldest right on the South Fork River. For TUD in Tuolumne County, the value is the rights to the water itself. Having rights to the water in our system increases our reliability and security. This is the reason why Mark Twain had said, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. Here's a map that depicts our portion, the portion of our watershed that we benefit from. Outlined in blue there, you can see the 67 square miles of our water system. Let's take a few minutes so we can share a short video with you that will set the stage for our next part of our conversation.
Water has always defined opportunity in Tuolumne County. Then and now, that's having a flourishing.
The volume up there. Oh, technology.
Environment, that's having a flourishing economy. All those things for us, it all depends on water. But despite plentiful water resources, Tuolumne County owns not a single drop of water. Almost all of it is sent somewhere else. This is one of the only, if not the only, places in California that doesn't have water rights.
And I think early on that we gave some of those rights up. If we could go back and definitely would be way different. San Francisco water would be way different.
Our water district is a complicated tangle of court battles and missed opportunities. We want more water. Headline from 1920, Bridgeford today. The chance to secure it is finally within reach. The Tuolumne Band of Miwok Indians lived in harmony with this land for thousands of years, caring for the natural resources they relied upon for survival.
So they would have protected it, they would have lived off of it, they would have nurtured it, and they were also very dependent off of it.
In 1848, the discovery of gold changed everything. As prospectors flocked to the area, the Tuolumne Water Company rushed to harness local waterways. They handed up and built hundreds of miles of gravity-fed canals and flumes to send water to the gold fields. It is that same remarkable system that's used today by the Tuolumne Utilities District to supply water to homes and businesses. Agriculture thrived as the gold rush slowed, with the first irrigation water coming from abandoned ditches. But in the early 1900s, outside interests sought control over the Stanislaus River. The predecessor to Pacific Gas and Electric acquired some of those valuable water rights. The new Strawberry Reservoir was built, and Lyons Reservoir was expanded. In the 40s, another local water district was formed, an unsuccessful attempt to secure water rights. In 1992, TUD was formed. Still, to this day, the county has no water rights of its own.
We can't change the past, but we can definitely change the future.
That is what's at stake. Control over our water, our future. TUD is exclusively negotiating with PG&E to acquire the water system that serves our area. Pinecrest Lake, Lyons Reservoir, the Tuolumne Main Canal, Phoenix hydropower facilities, and ironclad water rights that predate the Civil War. If TUD doesn't acquire the system, someone else will, clouding the future of our water supply, a gamble nobody wants to take. Significant challenges are looming. We face extreme droughts and rising fire danger in an area one state study recently listed as the highest risk in California.
We have seen over the last decade that the fire seasons are getting longer. They start earlier, they last later into the year. The fact of the matter is we're seeing a changing environment. We're relying on TUD to provide Columbia Air Attack Base the water that we need to be able to provide the initial attack resources spread throughout these Sierras. We're here to protect water. It's a phenomenal ability for Tuolumne County to finally have control over their own destiny, over their water source.
Owning our water would support every aspect of life as we know it in the county. It's an opportunity for the community to have a voice, to provide for our future, while preserving our heritage. Locally controlling our water supply, a prospect we can't afford to pass up.
So since 1983, Tuolumne County and now TUD have been benefiting from an agreement with PG&E where they would deliver us raw water for free. The days of free water in Tuolumne County are just going to come to an end, regardless whether TUD or some other agency outside of the county owns the system. This brings us back to the opportunity we have today. TUD is negotiating with PG&E to acquire their portion of our water system, plus those valuable water rights. What are the benefits to the community and our customers? First in time, first in right. Tuolumne County currently has no water rights. This is an opportunity to always be at the front of the line to secure critically important water supplies for our community and then for the future. If TUD acquires the system, that means no other entity or investor outside the county could acquire these assets and have the power to manage the system in a way that's inconsistent with our values or interests. TUD will manage a FERC licensed hydro while balancing a variety of uses in addition to water supply, such as power generation, cultural and environmental resources, and recreation. As you can see, we're in the midst of another multiple year drought. Climate change is upon us. In 2019, Tuolumne County was listed as the #1 county at risk of fire. Having these local control of these water supplies and this infrastructure will just help us safeguard the region. As with most opportunities, this one comes with costs. Acquiring a water system means we would take on costs associated with operating and maintaining a system, including a FERC licensed hydro project. For about 2 years, with Reftelis, the district has studied the impacts this would have on our finances. We've taken the time to turn over every stone, look around every corner, and look to the horizon. We now understand that our finances are going to have to increase by about $4.5 million per year through 2027. This means TUD customers' rates will have to go up. We know this is a tough pill to swallow. We truly see this as a worthwhile investment. Let's add the benefits I just mentioned to the other side of the ledger. TUD customers at the front of the line, that's under local control, with the ability for greater flexibility and the ability to mitigate against drought and wildfire. These are the reasons why we feel this is a worthwhile investment. So, how will owning the system impact our finances and in turn our customers? As mentioned, we hired Reftelis, an experienced firm, to help study our finances and for this acquisition. Nancy Fan is the point person on this project, and now I'll turn it over to her to share the details of Reftelis' analysis and what they would be asking customers to pay on the bills if this agreement is approved and secures regulatory approval. Nancy?
Thank you, Don, and good morning, everyone. So on the financial side of things, TUD hired Reftelis to take district data and build a model for how rates will be impacted should these assets be acquired from PG&E. So put simply, the district needs an average of $4.5 million in additional revenues each year. So how exactly do we get to that figure? Our model considers the cost that the district anticipates incurring to operate and maintain the water system acquired from PG&E. It also builds responsible reserves totaling $1.5 million by 2027. So if this were a family budget, this would be your savings account for emergencies. Responsible utilities like TUD will typically have cash on hand to pay for necessary expenses and also to enable a speedy response in emergencies. The district plans to have 90 days of operating expenses in reserves, plus an additional 2% of total O&M for emergencies. The district also asked Reftelis to help build a rate stabilization fund in the amount of $450,000 by the end of 2027, which can help keep customer bills predictable in the future. We also considered the hydroelectric revenue from the Phoenix power plant that will contribute modestly to the bottom line each year. So once we add this all together, the district's rates need to collect an average of an additional $4.5 million each year through 2027. Next slide, please. So here's a table that details the various components from the previous slide for anyone who would like to return later to review more of the specifics. The draft report, which will be provided before the next board meeting, will also have additional detail on the financials that you see here. So having shared the big picture of the financials on the last couple of slides, I'm pretty sure everyone is wondering what changes customers can expect to see on their bills. So given that the vast majority of district accounts serve single-family residential customers, we performed an analysis to show the impacts to the typical TUD customer. But first, a couple of notes and reminders for everyone before we dig into that. So what we see here probably looks familiar to everyone in this room. It's the bill customers get from the district. The important thing to note here is that TUD bills cover 2 months of service. This is what we call a bi-monthly billing cycle. Our calculations that I'll cover in the next couple of slides are based on 2 months of service, but we'll also show our figures in parentheses as a monthly view as well. So now we get to put some meat on the bones here on how the district calculates residential customer water bills. A quick note here at the bottom. Abby, could you? Okay. These figures are based on what a residential customer with a 1-inch meter or smaller pays. The vast majority of TUD customers fall into this category, though the handful of customers with larger meter sizes will pay proportionately more. They pay proportionately more today and will continue paying proportionately more based on our model. A table of current fixed charges and proposed fixed charges by meter size will be a part of our report, which we will have in your hands before the next board meeting. So back to the formula that we see on the slide. We start with that fixed charge, which comes with the first 800 cubic feet, approximately 6,000 gallons of water used every 2 months. Okay. I think, click one more, Abby.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, so today customers pay a fixed charge of $129 or $64.50 per month. Okay, if approved, starting on September 1st, that fixed charge increases to $162.74 or $81.37 per month. That's an increase starting in September of $33.74 or $16.87 per month. As a reminder, this figure can be thought of as the amount of money that the district needs to acquire those water rights, pay for the operations and maintenance costs on the PG&E parts of the system, and also build those responsible financial reserves. The second part of the formula is the quantity rate of $3.40 per 100 cubic feet of water used in excess of the 800 cubic feet of water allotted as part of the fixed charge. One thing I want to point out is that the rates we propose adopting keep the quantity rate the same as it is today, all through 2027. One more click, Abby. Going, and then total all of that up, and you have your water bill. Okay, next slide. So now that everyone understands the calculation formula and the rates, what would these changes look like on the bills of typical customers? So we'll be having a look at bills from 2 different seasons, winter and summer, and we'll first take a look at a winter bill. The typical TUD customer uses around 1,500 cubic feet of water each billing cycle in the wintertime. That's around 11,220 gallons. Okay, so today they pay the $129 or $64.50 per month fixed charge. At $3.40 per 100 cubic feet used above the initial 800 cubic feet, the quantity charge equals $23.80 or $11.90 per month. So this totals $152.80 per billing cycle or $76.40 per month. Okay, now under our model, starting on September 1st of this year, that fixed charge and first 800 cubic feet of water would go to $162.74 or $81.37 per month. Again, our model keeps the quantity rate unchanged through 2027, so those remain the same. A customer's new winter bill covering 2 months of service would total $186.54 or $93.27 per month. Okay, that's an increase of $33.74 per bill. Again, our model goes through 2027 and prescribes regular annual increases of the fixed charge that, skipping to the end, look like this. The customer's fixed charge in fiscal year 2027 or September 1st, 2026 would be $184.62 or $92.31 per month. The quantity rate again remains unchanged, and so the customer bill for the winter months would be $208.42 or $104.21 per month at the end of the rate schedule. So that's an increase of $21.88 from 2022. Okay, so what about summertime usage? So clearly, summer water use with both watering lawns and growing beautiful gardens, that use is typically higher than use in the wintertime. So the typical TUD customer uses around 2,500 cubic feet of water each month in the summertime, or each billing cycle in the summertime. That's 18,700 gallons per billing cycle. Okay, again, today they pay the $129 fixed charge at $3.40 per 100 cubic feet used above the initial 800 cubic feet. The quantity charge totals $57.80 per billing cycle. And then that total bill is $186.80. Okay, so under our model, starting on September 1st of this year, that fixed charge and first 800 cubic feet would go to $162.74. Again, our model keeps the quantity rate unchanged throughout 2027, so that stays the same at $57.80. A customer's new summer water bill starting in September of this year would be $220.54. That's an increase again of $33.74. And so our model goes through 2027 and the fixed and has increases to the fixed charge. And at the end of the rate schedule, it will look a little like this. This customer's fixed charge in fiscal year 2027 would be $184.62. The quantity rate remains unchanged through the end of the rate schedule. And so the total bill for this customer in September 2026 would be $242.42. That's an increase of $21.88 per bill from 2022. Okay, so that concludes my portion of the slide deck. But before I go ahead and turn it back to Dawn, I just want to reiterate that the bill estimates that I just shared on the last couple of slides are for the district's typical residential customers. The handful of customers who have water meters larger than 1 inch would expect to see proportionately higher fixed charges than the ones we showed today. Details on the recommended adjustments for those less common meter sizes will be a part of our report, and of course will be clearly shown in the Proposition 218 notification that is currently under development. Back to Don.
Thank you, Nancy. Great job. Appreciate it. So I was curious, after hearing this, I was curious about how our rates stacked up with other nearby agencies' rates. I had staff do a little bit of survey, and this is the results. As you can see, currently our rates are a little bit below the average compared to some of our neighboring agencies. And if approved, our new rates would be about average. So thought that was important information, and we know that some of these neighboring agencies' rates are planned to go up in the next year. Okay, upcoming milestones. So we have a calendar here, as you can see, of upcoming events. I must mention though that one of the most important parts of this whole outreach campaign was these ongoing stakeholder outreach. It was really important for us as managers and the board to understand what was important to the county, what was on their mind, what concerns did they have with regards to water and water supply. Next is today's special board meeting where we presented this information, and then again tomorrow with the joint town hall meeting with the county and the city of Sonora and our 2 tribes. We'll have a similar briefing tomorrow. Next on the 24th, with your approval, of course, we will print and mail the Prop 218 notices. And that will start a 45-day clock for which you can begin to vote on rates. If approved, we'll go ahead and mail those notices on the 31st. And then from then, you know, in the month of June, you can see we have 3 open houses meetings. On July 19th, we'll host a public hearing meeting to vote or adopt or reject Raptellus' recommendations. And if they are adopted, the rates will go up on September 1st. So moving forward, you know, we really do want some more opportunities to seek public opinion. We're going to house these 3 open houses. I'll be out in the community, other meetings and community groups. We really do seek your opinion, the customer's opinion, the public opinion on the pros and cons. You know, what's at stake here, and what's at stake of inaction. What's the cost of inaction? Let this opportunity pass. So, anyway, thank you all for the opportunity today. Back to you, Barbara.
Thank you, Don. That was great. Thank you, Nancy. Really appreciate that. And that was a good video too. So I also appreciate, very quickly before I open it up, the $10 range or to 16, correct me, Steve and Nancy, per month, because this has been a point of confusion with our community. The monthly increase, correct me if I'm wrong again, is around $10.
1687.
It's $33.74 per bill, so half of that's
15
something.
a month. Okay, all right, because just as a budget person on, you know, retired income, I'm looking at the monthly thing. So I really appreciate putting that dynamic in here. And also, thank you for clarifying the fact that people can use with their fixed rate of, what was it? 800 cubic feet. That comes with your bill. So that was 400 cubic feet a month that you're paying for whether you use it or not. And I think the public really needs to hear that. Take advantage of that water that you're paying for. So with that, I will open it up for some board comments. Yes, Director Kearns.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara, President Balin. Yeah, $16.87 a month. That's what it boils down to. That's expensive. I get it. I do. And especially if you're on a fixed income. However, to get water rights of this stature, something in my view that is absolutely priceless, I think is a bargain. As John pointed out here, this county has no water rights at all, none. We are at the mercy right now of PG&E. The question is, who might we be at the mercy of in the future? And if we don't act on this and get a hold of these things now so that we have control of our own future water-wise, then I think we will fail this community tragically. So I'll reserve some more comments for later. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Any other director wish to comment?
We do have Director Ring with his hand up for a comment, and also Director Murphy.
Okay, then I'll take Director Ring. Go ahead, please, and then Director Murphy.
Okay, well, I am one of those that's on a very tight income, and this increase is going to hurt. But what I want to bring up is that what I'm going to have to do is treat this as a monthly bill, and start early putting the money away so that when the bill comes through, I'll actually have it to be paid. As a tag to that, I thought that I would, just for clarification, let's call it that. And I think our finance director could be the one that can answer this best. The reason why we have to, well, we don't have to, but the reason why we have bi-monthly billing is to save money. correct? In other words, if we had to bill every month, then the cost to produce those bills and mail them out and all that would double the cost. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, to cut to the chase, you're exactly correct. We've done this analysis before, and given our topography, given the fact that only about 55% of our meters are automated, it would be a significant investment to switch to monthly bills. I mean, on the scale of $800,000 to $1 million for us to go through that. So right now we have 2 meter readers, takes them 60 days to read all the meters. You're right, printing, postage, I mean, it would double our cost for bills. So it's significantly less expensive by having the bi-monthly bills. Another thing is because, you know, I'm working on the budget right now and everything else, I tend to look at everything on an annual basis. I know a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck or barely making it month to month, but you know, once we went through this analysis and worked with Raftellus, the end result, if this makes a difference to some people, is $200 a year. I mean, that's kind of what we're coming down to. But to directly answer you, yes, we have bi-monthly billing to save the ratepayers money.
Well, as much as I don't like the bi-monthly billing, never did. I mean, I have a total understanding of why it's being done that way. I just think that it might be a good idea to include that conversation in the meetings that TUD is going to be putting on, so that people will understand why things are the way they are, and that it's actually saving them money in the long run. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ringen. Director Murphy.
Yeah, so this is, I don't see it addressed in this PowerPoint, and it's something that both Don and Jesse had assured me was part of the rate structure. So 60% of our water is used by treated water customers. 40% of our water is used by raw water customers. In this, I see all of the expenses of getting water rights, which is to benefit of the whole county and specifically benefit of all water users in the Tuolumne Utilities District. I don't see that cost shared by everyone. I see the 60% of the treated water customers carrying the cost for everybody else. And that's something that I was very clear of from the beginning, that is not okay. And I was assured both by Jesse, I had conversations with Jesse about this, I had conversations with Don about this, that everybody was going to be sharing that cost. So this is worrisome to me, because I feel like the presentation did not cover that. And if it doesn't, yeah, I'm very concerned.
Hi, Lisa, let me see if I can fix this for you. These new rates will be imposed on all water customers, both raw and treated.
Can we, there's no slides about that, and can we, do we know what that rate is going to be?
Yeah, specifically, what you said is we did exactly, everyone is included, raw and treated. What we're presenting today is for the vast majority of our customers, here would be the rate effect. As Nancy alluded, when we come back, the next meeting on the 24th, I believe it is, it will show that breakdown, just like our existing rates have a breakdown by metered, unmetered, meter size and all that. That's what we're currently finalizing and working on, but everyone will pay their proportionate share. So when we bring that back, you will see that rate increase for everyone, but we wanted to bring the vast majority of our customers would fall under this $200 a year increase. All customers are included, and you will see that at the next meeting in detail.
So when we're talking about the next meeting, this is getting presented to the supervisors, the tribes, and the city tomorrow, correct? Will I see that reflected in it tomorrow?
As the same presentation that we're doing today, essentially for.
So that's my concern, is that that's not showing up in here, and that if you haven't figured out the numbers on that, that's fine, but perhaps a slide being inserted saying that this is going to be shared amongst all users. And here here is what it will look like for the, and we're still working out the details. I think that's fine to say, but this presentation, I walk away with the feeling that it's not getting shared by everyone. And that's a big problem. I think other people will see that too.
Speaking as a ditch customer, I can assure you my bill will go up just like it did the last time.
I don't want your insurance. I want it included in the presentation and the information we're putting out to the public.
Yeah, I don't feel it's misleading. I feel that this information is general, sort of a higher level review. And I think that Steve is going to break it down. I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that this is a high level review at this time. And I assumed, as most ditch customers, that I'm included in that, increase.
So my request, I'm going to repeat it again. My request, when I raised, I am putting my request forward, which is I would like to see a slide in there that states that, so that is what we're putting out to the public. Tomorrow, we're going to the supervisors, we're going to the city, we're going to the tribe. We're putting this out. This right now, I don't really care what people are thinking in the back of their minds or behind closed doors. What we're putting out to the public tomorrow does not show that or reflect that. And that is going to be a problem. And we are going to get pushback from that. So a slide in this to the public that says all users will be seeing a rate increase. You don't have to put what the other rate increases are. But your insurance, Director Balin, means nothing in this. This is a presentation.
I get it. Nancy?
And so I would like to see that slide in the presentation tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that possible to do? To put a caveat in there? Nancy?
Sure.
Yes, that is absolutely possible. And we'll add a slide for tomorrow's presentation, Director Murphy.
Okay.
And Director Raylan. Yep.
Any other comments? Okay, then I'll ask the public in the room. Do you have any comments? Okay, well, please go ahead, John.
Morning, John Buckley, speaking both as a ratepayer and also for CSER. For 2 years, TUD management and the board have eagerly sought to take over facilities from PG&E with the supposed goal of gaining control of water for TUD customers. And that's understandable, and it might make sense if there's truly a legitimate threat to TUD's water supply, but there is not. And the fear that somehow TUD might not receive water, which has been stated a couple of different ways today, is speculation based on assumptions that are not based on reality. The fact is that the TUD has a perpetual contractual agreement with PG&E that provides water to TUD and its customers with zero cost in most years and a rare low amount of cost under certain limited scenarios. It's a great deal for TUD ratepayers to not have to pay for water, to not have to pay for all the expensive infrastructure and maintenance, to not have to pay for FERC required monitoring, operational costs, and all the payments that the licensee must pay. In 2 FERC relicensing processes, which I've engaged in over the last 18 years or so, including the current Phoenix relicensing process, state and federal agencies, the FERC, NGOs, and PG&E have all fully agreed that providing water to TUD for customers is a priority mandate for operating the Spring Gap Stanislaus project and the Phoenix project. 40-year-long FERC licenses that will be renewed consistent with existing mandates fully assure that TUD receiving its water supply will continue as a priority. Whether or not at some point PG&E transfers the FERC license, the contractual water supply agreement providing water to TUD is not only recognized by the State Water Board, but the FERC is also firm in defining that water supply from the South Fork Stanislaus as a FERC license priority. The cost for speculative acquisition to own water rights and facilities is coming out of the pockets of TUD ratepayers who, as we've just learned, will be paying $16.87 a month on average, roughly $200 a year over the next 5 years, $1,000 per family. If the TUD board honestly communicates that to ratepayers, that they can either keep getting free water from PG&E and not need to own all the expensive facilities, including at Pinecrest Reservoir, which at some point they're going to be extremely high costs that at this point are not clear, but will be related to the dam and other things. If they learn that they may have all of those costs that will come forward, it is highly unlikely customers will think, wow, I want to pay a lot more for water that's now free. The attempt by this board to gain power and control over PG's facilities and operations because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, it assures security, everything sounds good, but it's not based on any legitimate water supply need. And it is frustrating to see TUD using ratepayers' dollars to advertise and propagandize to the public with radio ads and let's see, your water, our county, your water, whatever the theme is, and with marketing videos. I ask that this board be as open and truthful as possible to the cost to ratepayers based on the gain that is at this point speculative. And I believe it's important to go on record in respectful opposition to this misguided acquisition. Thank you for your patience. I don't expect that changed anyone's point of view, but thank you.
Thank you, John. Corey, is there any other member in the public that wishes to comment?
Not that I see at the moment, no.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll bring it back to the board for any last comments, and perhaps then after that, Jesse could weigh in on some concerns or comments he may have. So is there any director that would like to make a comment? Okay, Director Kearns.
Yeah, I'd like to comment a little bit. Mr. Buckley brought up a good point about the perpetual free contract with PG&E. You know, back in, I believe it was 1982, correct, Tom? Is that when that, 83, when that contract went into effect? And it was a fantastic contract. It was a great deal. It was a great deal for the county. It was a great deal for PG&E as well. PG&E was able to get rid of the ditch system, and the county took it over. And now TUD has it. We all know that. And the free water that came along with it was the carrot that TUD and the county received. However, being someone who's dealt with, I'm not an attorney by no means, but being in a business that relies on contracts a lot, not very many contracts survive, in my experience, when one of the parties change. And as long as the two original members of a contract are still in the agreement, the agreement usually lasts the test of time, as this one has. But once somebody leaves and somebody else steps into the shoes of one or the other, that's when problems can arise. And that's my concern, because if a downstream user or a for-profit entity were to get their hands on this infrastructure, who has the resources, they could potentially break that contract. In fact, I think that's a very highly likely scenario, just my opinion. And PG&E has made it clear that they are going to divest themselves of these assets. We didn't start this negotiation, they did. So I have to take that at their face value, that that's exactly what they're going to do. So that is my biggest concern. And for $17 a month to secure our future, and if nothing else, for our ratepayers to be able to contact, to be able to see us, to be able to come down here in this room and talk to us about these water rights from now on into the future, I think is a value as well. So I think this is definitely something that is important to this community and this county, and that we have to act on it, and those are my feelings.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, go ahead, Director Boatright.
Steve, I've got a question for you. The rate increases that we've seen on the presentation, that refers to the 3/4 inch and 1 inch meter size? Is that
1
correct?
inch and smaller, correct.
So there will be more information coming.
Yes, as Nancy said, our existing structure right now, again, we have a fixed and we have a consumptive rate. The fixed rate is based on the meter size, as well as both the treated and untreated, as well as metered and unmetered. And so we took that same exact structure, and that's how she's gonna allocate the $4.5 million. And, we have a tentative table right now, but we're still fine tuning to make it as equitable as possible. But like I said, we want to get the vast majority of our customers fall into this 1 inch and smaller by far and away. And so we want to get that here for this discussion, and then the board will see the actual charges by meter size at the next regular board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing else?
Okay, David, thank you. Is there any other board member, any hands raised? Do you see any hands raised? Okay.
Not at the moment.
Okay, so I'll keep my comments brief as well. John, I do appreciate your concern. So many of us, not just this current board, but other boards have wrestled with this same decision. And right now, we are at the crossroads where others have actually turned back. And we have not consummated this extra step of securing our water. And the more I'm reading out at the state level, water is in real high demand right now. As long as we have unchecked demand on a finite resource, it will be that way. And I just think that what we're doing now is doing a course correction, and we are asking people right now, this community right now, to sacrifice. Before us, they did not do this, and I think it takes courage to go ahead and secure these water rights, and I think it will pay off more and more as we go into the future. Like Don, you said, our children, our grandchildren. So this is really tough work. I'm really proud of this board for being so committed to this endeavor. Is there anything, any comments, anything you'd like Jesse to comment on?
Yes, President Balin, thank you. Despite what Mr. Buckley has said, I recommend that the board stay the course and continue the process to acquire the PG&E facilities. There's going to be criticism along this road. And some of the items that Mr. Buckley raised will probably be raised in the future, as well as other concerns expressed by the public. And not to diminish any of those concerns, I certainly don't. I think they're realistic concerns, but you have to properly categorize these types of concerns. And Mr. Buckley's concern that it is speculative, that a new owner of the water rights isn't going to follow the 1983 agreement. I don't think that's speculative at all. Any new entity that comes in, and we know there will be a new entity. We all know that there will be a new entity owning the Phoenix project, because PG&E has made it very clear that if TUD does not acquire it, they will offer it up to the next buyer. And so there will be a new owner. That much is certain. And I do not think it is speculative to think that this new owner isn't going to adhere to that contract. I think it's a certainty that the new owner will attempt a way out of that 1983 agreement. And I do not think it will take a whole lot of lawyering to get out of that agreement. That agreement contemplates free water. However, in order to fulfill that contract, the owner or the one of the parties to that contract has to have all of the water rights necessary to accomplish that. The Phoenix project doesn't. And so only while the obligation may transfer over, but the ability to perform that responsibility will not be transferring. And that is an easy way to get out of any contract, simply impossibility. The new owner will be unable to comply with that contract. So it's not speculative. I think it's certain. What is speculative is that TUD should assume that a new owner will adhere to that contract. That, I think, is incredibly speculative and dangerous thinking, personally. Mr. Buckley has raised the point about FERC numerous times, and I want to make it very clear. FERC does not care about the 1983 agreement. FERC is an energy regulatory agency. It is not a public water supply entity. FERC doesn't care about the 1983 agreement. They will not enforce it. They are not a party to the agreement. Neither will the State Water Board. Neither of those entities are parties to that agreement, and any dispute over that agreement will be between the two parties bound by that agreement, whether it's PG&E or some other entity, and then TUD or, well, TUD. It'll be TUD and whoever owns the system, and that is it. No one else is going to put their hat in the ring and help TUD enforce the terms of that contract other than a court. That's it. And so the idea that FERC is going to, this is a priority system or a priority obligation under the FERC license, it just isn't. FERC doesn't get involved in public water supply issues. It's an energy system or an energy agency. That's what it regulates. That's what it's interested in, and that's it, not water supply. And so unless there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. But I just wanted to address those 2 points by Mr. Buckley. To close the loop here, I encourage the board to stay the course. Criticism like this will continue, and I encourage the board to listen to the criticism. If there is something that that I haven't addressed, please let me know. But don't let criticism alone divert the board from the task at hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate your comments. If there is no further comments from the board or from the public, then this is just informational only, and then that will conclude this item. Any other comments? Okay, thanks again, Jesse. All right, so with that, we will move to staff reports.
Director Murphy, just raise your hand for a comment.
Oh, go ahead, Director Murphy.
You're muted right now, Director Murphy.
One more thing in looking forward to the presentation tomorrow, it's on this. The audio on the video, very trebly, the music in the background, very loud, very trebly, very difficult how it was played today to understand what the people were saying in the video. So just one more thing for preparing for the meeting tomorrow of making sure that can get played in a way that people can understand what people are saying in it. Thank you.
Got it, thank you. Okay, staff reports.
Well, I didn't prepare anything, but as you can tell, we've been really busy around here. So I really don't have a good staff report right now.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
No. Abby, you good?
I don't have one for today. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then we'll go into director's communications and reports.
None for me.
Okay, none for Jeff.
None for me.
None for Director Boatwright. Director Murphy.
Just continuing to communicate with in Sonora, the local Firewise Council.
Okay, thank you. Director Ringen.
Yes, on 4/28, I attended the Tuolumne County Water Agency. Well, they don't any longer call themselves Water Agency Policy Advisory Committee. They just call it a Water Advisory Committee. I'm not really sure they know what they're doing. It was sort of a confusing meeting, so I'll leave it at that. And on 5/4, I went to the Tuolumne County Natural Resource Committee meeting, and I'll just say this, the subject was water, water, forest, forest. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Ron. Then I'll close with, I attended the Aqua Conference of May 3 to 5. And I think what I got out of that was that it absolutely, every session I attended reinforced that TUD is on the right track regarding taking change seriously, whether it's climate change or how Generation Z, Gen Z wants their work environment. You know, it was taken, we are adapting to that change and creating a positive culture. What kind of is what I would like to, here's some observations over time, 20 years. Aqua had a culture of, we're gonna, like the Forest Service in the old days. We don't care about consent decree, we don't care about women in the workforce, we're gonna get the cutout. And that was the only thing on the forest supervisor's performance element, one thing, did you hit your MAR target? That was it. It has gone from the water world of we're, by golly, is just get that water, commoditize it and distribute it, to co-equal goals of fish, environment, and people, non-consumptive benefit and consumptive benefit. And I keep pointing back to TUD. We will provide fire water to anybody, whether they even have a bill with TUD, whether it's reflected in their bill because they're not even a customer. We're going to provide that so the water as a non-commodity that flows through our county, that benefit is incalculable. I mean, when I hear people talking about the using of raw water, gray water, we are already poised for that and that self-reliancy that comes with that. So I was really pleased because I know we're working on emergency fire water draft points to TUD's credit to look at these places where people can get water in case, you know, we get hacked. And so again, one thing that supports this TUD direction is the Claire H. Hill Award. 20 years ago, it would go to, you know, a new treatment plant. Now it went to the Alameda Fish Passage Project. It's a huge amount of reward and prestige that went to something that improved the habitat. And it was the board that said this was important to us. So I just thought that was really, really reinforcing and cool to see. The other thing that I did not, I've got some good quotes in there. There were in the water trends industry, there was this thing called DEI, and I'm going, what? Disadvantaged communities? Like, you know, I'm trying to unpack the acronym. It's like, no, it is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so, and again, with the shift of more folks coming in, more women, for an example, coming into the water, or more women engineers, more women board members, it is really being, there's a real ripple effect, I've noticed. There was one event, women in water, and those stories of those women way back as engineers was very interesting in a men's world, let's say. And so how that glass ceiling got broken open. I just never thought I would hear this stuff in Aqua. And so it just shows that it's changing. Not only do we start taking care of our environment, but it's almost like we're going full circle. So the other thing I just wanted to say was something that I thought reinforced our message is how do agencies collaborate on really important issues? And the feedback was the problems are too complex now not to collaborate. So these things are merging together, and that I know that's like Eric Hall building really good relations, and you too, Eric Johnson, and all these channels of communication with our local leaders, and certainly that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. These this is not just compartmentalized. This is, we are truly all in this together, and collaboration is the key to all of our survival. And then in closing, one thing that was new was there was discussion about the cost of hacking, of cybersecurity. And that I never saw before. And that's a real issue. There was a lot of discussion on that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was going to be more of that at the next Aqua conference, because it is taking more of our budget. So again, cybersecurity was a real concern. And then let's see, and also in talking with my colleagues, it really reinforced that we are on the right track for breaking into divisions. So with that, I will close on that. It was an excellent conference. I really encourage, if everybody can, the next Aqua conference. Okay, any other comments from the board? Okay, with that, then I will close this meeting.